And like that, we're going to adjust it.
Flip the camera. What a novel idea. Oh, there we go.
Good?
Yeah, now
That's
we're
pretty
both,
good.
Now we're both in it. All right. So, I'm going to start by just saying where we are, what we're doing, and then I met you in Chicago.
Yeah.
Kind of a prelude to kind of how I got to know you, and then I'm going to ask you about your story.
Okay.
And then from then it's going to freeform. But
Okay.
I don't want to go, 10, 12 minutes at most, because I can cut some out.
Okay.
But I do want to leave enough time to get to your,
The cause.
yes.
Beautiful.
That's important.
Do it.
So, greetings. It's Peter Schmitz with my good friend HectorPicard. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. You got it.
Should have asked it. Okay. Greetings. It's Peter Schmitz. We're down here in Fort Lauderdale. I'm with my good friend HectorPicard, and he's agreed to do a interview for my website on my book, Be the One. One inspires many, be the one. And so today, I want to introduce you to Hector, and how we got acquainted was last summer, which would have been summer of 2015, in Chicago at the Chicago Triathlon. And we're both in the same physical disability group.
Category,
right?
yeah.
Category. And I met him in the transition area at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I go, you're going to find out his story in a minute, but Hector has no hands. And I says to Hector, how in the world are you going to do this? So he's going to tell you that story. But we met at the Chicago Triathlon, and we competed against each other, and we had a great time. And it's because of Hector telling me his story and the fact that he is a motivational speaker that inspired me to write my book and tell my story. And hence my book, One Inspires Many, Be the One. And so I want to thank you for that inspiration, because that's what my book's about, but you are the one that inspired me.
Excellent.
And it was, I still remember it vividly. That 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning, we're in the transition area. So enough about me. Tell me about Hector. How did you get involved, and maybe a little bit about your story?
Sure. Well, first I'd like to say that I'm a husband. I'm a father of 4. I'm a grandfather of 3. And that's a lot in itself.
That's
there.
a lot right there.
I was in an electrical accident 24 years ago, and it forced the amputations in my entire right arm and half my left. And but at that point, my 1-year-old was the one that inspired me to keep going and living life to the fullest.
That's
I
really
wanted
cool.
to be a father for her, and had my second child. But it came down. Fast forward into 2008. My wife is doing the wrong thing, and I was forced to leave and live on my own.
Okay.
And one of the things, I'm always been up for challenges. But while I was working out, this couple came up to me and asked me if I had ever considered competing in a triathlon.
Okay.
And I said, triathlon? I thought triathletes were crazy. I wasn't a swimmer, I wasn't a cyclist, and I hated running. So I said, sure.
It's a good way to start. It's a good way to, yeah.
But my first approach at it was to think of it as a challenge, a therapy. I was going through some depression because of the marriage, and I wanted to get out there and compete and meet people and just be outgoing, and that was a way to do it, is competing in my first triathlon.
And that was in 2008.
2009 was the actual first try.
And just for grins, how did you do in your first one? Since you hated all 3 sports, I was going to say, how did you do?
I barely survived the sprint, but the time was good, and I said, all right, I can make this better, and I was hooked.
You were hooked.
I was hooked.
So that's what I'm looking for. What got Hector hooked? Think about it. And I have a similar story. So John, here you are, disabled, trying to do one of the hardest sports there is, and figure it all out, right? Because you had to make some adjustments, accommodations, what have you, to ride your bike, to swim. Yeah. Obviously your legs still work fine, so running, at least you could go learn that. But I know your story about the swim and the bike. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what made me keep doing it, or what hooked me, was the fact that when people looked at me, they looked at me differently. Now it's not poor Hector, you can barely do this or that, even though I was always trying to prove it. Yeah. Now I'm competing against you, and if you concentrate on how helpless I am, I'm going to pass you up.
You almost passed.
And that's the idea. When I go out there, there's nothing more satisfying to see you're on the bike and you're passing somebody on the bike, and they do a double take, and they go, whoa, whoa! They can't believe they got passed by somebody without hands, and I love that. That gives me a high,
That's a good
and I
feeling.
keep doing it. This past weekend I did back to back, and I just the races.
What? You went to
Back to back triathlons. I did a triathlon on Saturday.
triathlons this past weekend. I did one, but he did two.
Yeah.
So he's an animal. But tell the viewers just briefly, how do you ride your bike with no hands? 'Cause
Yeah.
people are probably wondering.
The original setup I designed myself, and what I do is currently I shift with the electronic shifting using my chin. I apply the brakes that are placed on the frame of the bike using my right knee.
You push your knee in
Yeah.
to apply the brake?
And it applies the brakes to both the rear and the front
Okay.
simultaneously. And then I steer by using my stump. I slip it in a ring that's attached to the handlebars, and that's how I steer.
So you're actually steering with one hand, I mean one arm at that point,
Yeah.
and that gives you enough stability? I'm curious.
It
about
does,
that.
it does.
Okay.
I've gone across the country twice on a bicycle. I do a lot of
Okay,
long
stop,
distance
stop, wait a
cycling.
minute. You went across the country
Yeah.
twice on a bicycle.
Yeah,
Tell us
and
about that. I didn't know that.
2012 I rode my bike from Fort Lauderdale to New York City, 1,500 miles in 17 days. And in 2013, to raise money for a little boy's prosthetic arms, I rode from Miami, Florida to Spokane, Washington, 36
Miami
days.
in 36 days.
36 days.
Miami to Spokane. How many miles is that?
It was over 3,050 miles that
and
I
you
rode.
raised money for this little boy's
Yeah,
prosthetic
Jameson. It was called Hands for Baby Jameson. We raised enough money for his co-payment, and he became the youngest person to have myoelectric arms.
Awesome. That's
So
amazing.
it was really cool.
You didn't tell me that one. Or
No,
if
I
you did,
haven't.
don't remember.
We didn't have time to talk about it.
Wow. So I know a big part of your story is the causes you represent.
Yeah.
And I know it's near and dear to your heart, and I want everybody to hear about that. So tell us about that, what it is, and how you do it, and
Well, number one, that ride for that little boy opened up my eyes to what my mission in life was. My
Okay.
second chance at life was to become a role model for children, especially children with disabilities. These are perceived the weakest of the weak, and I just wanted to give them a voice. I want to go out there and I want to show that they can do things that most of us can't do. And so this year I decided to do a thing called Racing for True Champions. 25 triathlons, each one dedicated to a different child from the Broward Children's Center. So it's bcckids.org. And
say that again.
bcckids.org.
Now that's your website, so where they can go see what you're doing?
Yeah, that's their website. That's their organizational
Okay.
website, and I'm directing all the traffic in that direction.
Okay.
So this past weekend I raced for Bo.
Raced for who?
Bo. His
Bo,
name is Bo.
okay, Bo.
B-E-A-U. He was born with this, I don't know the exact terminology for it, but he is on a ventilator, a wheelchair, but an incredible kid, he's very active. He loves riding bikes and stuff, and not the conventional bike, but bikes nonetheless. So I wanted to, what I do in each race, we promote it on social media.
Okay.
I do the race, I get my medal. Then a couple days later, after the race, we do a medal ceremony where I give that medal to the child.
So I think you said this Tuesday.
Correct. It's
Tomorrow,
Bo's medal
actually,
ceremony.
You're giving Bo's medal ceremony.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and you should see their faces. They light up. I mean, they and then now they're making demands. They're like, this one little boy wants a red hat and one red. Okay, I got to get you a red hat now.
Kids will do that. But
Yeah.
So every race, all 25 or 30. I mean, I'm not
20.
sure.
It's 25 of them are dedicated to the children from the Broward Children's Center.
So 25 kids are going to get a medal that you earn for being in the race,
Yes.
right? It's not. Just to be clear, we all get a medal for finishing the race.
Correct.
Right? It's not like you're. I mean, I don't want to minimize it.
Yeah.
I don't get first place medals either.
No.
But the goal is to give a medal to the kid, and they're pretty cool medals. Right?
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty cool.
Definitely nice medals. They are there with me. They, when I'm thinking I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't go on, I carry their picture with me. So I look at it, I think about it, and my life is nothing compared to how difficult theirs is.
That's an awesome mission,
Yeah,
Hector.
so
That's an awesome
appreciate
mission.
it.
It gives a lot of
Appreciate it.
meaning to what you're doing, and it keeps you going.
Appreciate it.
So how do people contribute? I mean, you obviously do the race, you give them the medal, but you're also, I'm sure, trying to raise money
Correct.
for the hospital.
Our goal is $50,000 for the year, It's going to go all throughout 2016, and they can visit the Broward Children's Center website, which is bcckids.org.
Okay, and they can choose to donate at
Correct.
that site. So,
Correct.
well, I want to thank you very much for your time, for spending time with me. This is and for
anytime.
the inspiration, buddy, because you inspire me a little bit further to think now, what can I do
Yeah.
beyond myself and my mission? I'm writing my book, and that's not what this video is about, but it adds dimension to what I'm trying to do. So
Awesome.
thank you very much, and we
Good luck.
appreciate you visiting with us. But go to the website, bcckids, with an S,
Yes.
.com,
.org.
.org,
Yeah.
sorry, .org,
Right.
and see what Hector's up to, because it's awesome to watch. There's some great pictures of him doing some races, and I've seen some of your videos. He's got one of the coolest videos I've ever seen, is how to change a flat tire with no hands.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, without hands. Yeah.
Without hands. It's on YouTube, and I shouldn't say this, but you're kind of like a monkey. You're using your your teeth and your toes, and it's like, holy smokes.
It's about getting it done,
And
one
then-
way or another.
And you get it done, and that's Hector's attitude about getting it done. So thanks very much. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
All right.
The kids in the background is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That's perfect end to what you...
Yeah. Awesome.
For me to make sure...